Are live. I'm not sure how many people are going to end up showing up. This is a day stream. I usually do my live streams at night. I've been MIA for a little bit, and I have a little bit to explain to my audience. And since I write a lot of stories, like 2 stories and Jacob's Apartment, that deal with mental health issues, I think what I'll talk about will be hopefully like helpful. I'm going to try to kind of, in the spirit of my artwork, I'm going to try to be pretty transparent. And hopefully I'm coming through okay. It looks like absolutely no one has shown up to the stream so far, so that's okay. Usually they come migrating in. So yeah, where have I been? Well, first off, I got to give a full disclosure about this stream. So this live stream, because of what I'm about to get into, might be really short. This is kind of a big leap of faith for me to kind of get on stream and basically, get over a hurdle of like getting back to kind of the normal run of things. Frank said, "Where have you been?" And he said, "Well, you talk about invisibility." Yeah, I might. So full disclosure, I had a manic episode and was put on a 72-hour hold at a hospital. And then it turns out my diagnosis is major depressive disorder, and so now I'm on antidepressants, and I'm seeing a therapist, and I'm kind of on leave from my day job, and they think it was induced by massive amounts of stress. For those of you guys who don't know, being an art director is kind of like a very stressful, crazy thing. And then on top of that, working on this book has been extremely stressful as well. I've already spoken to the publisher about the book and gotten a few months extra to kind of make the artwork done. But I was in the mental, whatever they call it, like mental health floor of the local hospital here, to kind of deal with being on a 72-hour hold. And it felt like Girl Interrupted or like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And I am definitely in a scenario where I don't want to return there. But I also wanted to fill you guys in on it because I like doing these streams, and I like demystifying. I like demystifying conversations about mental health. I think demystifying is the wrong word. Destigmatizing. But let me just put it this way: I had a real pretty severe episode. I was delusional and paranoid. I thought I was being filmed, and not like for live streams or anything. I just thought there was like a reality TV show that was filming every single element of my life. And I thought the entire internet had turned against me. So if you guys notice, I might, like Frank, I think I demodded you. I need to remod you. Maybe you can walk me through how I can do that. I didn't trust anyone. I kind of lost my mind for a little bit there. And a lot of it, I think, was due to just like an intense amount of stress in my life. And honestly, I have a tendency, this is a good tendency most of the time in my life, to like take on everything, like meaning like I want to kind of take responsibility for everything that happens. And quite often with like extreme ownership to that extent, you can kind of end up carrying the burden of more people than yourself, and wind up kind of losing your mind. And so that's where I've been. I've been kind of MIA. Like I have been working on my book. I'm actually really happy with the latest page 35. Yeah, and Frank was saying that's how I felt when I first went to one of those places, Josh, that it was like Girl Interrupted. Yeah, I mean, I think Girl Interrupted is pretty accurate. I mean, you can tell it's a true story from reading it. but yeah, I'm glad to be home. I'm glad to kind of be able to kind of start streaming again. I may not be on my A game. Christopher said, "Good to see you, Josh." And then Philip Chandler said, "Hey, missed you. Glad I missed you. Missed you guys too." But and then Frank was saying, "Hey, I didn't even notice. Yeah, the simple way is just going to a past live stream in the chats and clicking my name. Let me go ahead and get that taken care of real quick. Um, I want to remod Frank. I think Frank is a good guy, and again, like Frank has always been there. He has always been a really good dude. So I'm gonna just go ahead and grab that and add moderator. Frank, you have modding powers again, so do not abuse them. um, anyhow, Philip said group hug at LOL. Yeah, so that's basically where I've been. The thing that sucks is this all came to a head right during Long Beach Comic Con, and so I wasn't able to make it to Long Beach Comic Con, which kind of causes a bit of a financial struggle in a little bit, not a huge one, but like I had to pay for my table and order books, and that was all costs that would have been recouped through the con. And so now I have a bunch of books and stickers and stuff for the convention, and there is no convention. So I'm gonna have to find a place to go hustle and sell my wares to try to make back some of that money. And then Frank said, "I won't abuse my power." That's awesome. And then Frank said, "I've been in that situation too, Josh, so no judgment there." And Christopher said, "At the end of the day, it's most important to make sure you take care of your mental health." I agree. The main issue I think was I was pushing a little too hard on the like not sleeping and working. And so I've kind of rearranged things for how I'm going to approach them in theory to kind of do this better. One of the things that I'm going to do is when I get home, that's going to be my work time. So I'll literally get home and then I'll work till 9 or 10 and then get to sleep. And probably sacrifice book time with my son for like a couple months just to get more progress done on the pages. Another thing that I'm planning on trying to do is working out again, like in the mornings. And so I have like started working out again today, yesterday, and the day before that, basically since getting back home. And then the other thing I'm going to be doing is seeing a therapist. So I'm going to have therapy sessions once a week, and hopefully we can kind of work through some of these weird things. Christopher said, "How do I order stickers from you, dude?" I don't have stickers for sale. I have stickers that were printed, and they're usually only available live. But Christopher, at some point you should give me your address or something, because you sent me a bunch of free comics. I feel like I owe you. Maybe I can send you a copy of Numb, like my first comic. And this is what the stickers look like. They're really cool. I really dig them. But these I like to carry at conventions specifically for kids, because quite often, my stuff is so adult oriented. I feel really bad when a kid comes by and they want to see something at the table. So at least I can give them a sticker. Which I think is nice, because I it's not like I can sell a comic that talks openly about mental illness or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I it's a little awkward to talk about, but I kind of lean into that sort of thing in my art anyway, is like trying to talk about the things that you don't talk about at parties or in public. I think destigmatizing conversations like that is important. And I would just say out there, like, if you guys are struggling with mental health stuff, like, you're not alone. And clearly I am still in that battle. And it's one of those things where you'll kind of feel like you've defeated it. Like, yeah, like I really do have a very strong faith that I rely on. Even now, I've been relying on that a lot to get through whatever stress that caused me to think that I was being secretly filmed. and think that everyone I knew was betraying me. It was like this insane. I mean, it was a moment of pure insanity. What they call it is an episode of psychosis. And it was so real when I was in it. It was like absolutely convincing. And uh, I feel like talking about that kind of thing is important because while I am very strong in my faith, and I'm pretty well put together person, apparently I still haven't defeated the monster that is mental illness. And I think it's just going to kind of be something I live with for a really long period of time. And I have lived with for most of my life. And so it was I hate to say it was kind of like a good reminder that I'm not perfect. I'm not bulletproof. And also that I am like, just like anyone else, like my mental health and well-being is very um, contingent on my mind functioning well, which isn't always going to happen. So anyhow, it's a little hard to talk about, but hopefully that was, um, information that didn't like turn you guys off and I don't like lose all my subscribers. It seems like I'm seeing a lot of support in the chats. Hey, Dee Dee just said, welcome back. Philip said those are super cute. And then, hey kid, do you like failed romances and mental health comics? Have I got the comics for you? Exactly. I write really depressing stuff. And the thing is, like, this is one thing I want to get into before I start working on the page. And I'm really excited. I finished the page that I finished penciling. You guys, I think, will be really excited to see. It's the page where I was trying the Frank King trick. And then I had to adapt it. I don't know if you guys have seen the most recent version of it, but I've had to adapt the panel layout so that it more clearly reads like from left to right, and then to the left, and then like it reads in a literal Z pattern like this. And I'm really excited about it. The pencils have come out really well. This is going to be a monster to color. Dee Dee kicked in $20 and said, "We support you." I appreciate that. That's very meaningful, Dee Dee. And I do want to say, I've been watching everybody's streams. Like Christopher's in here, and Christopher, I was watching a stream where you were doing like a Sasquatch face with paint pens, which is rad. I did a cover a long time ago for a friend's hip hop album using paint pens and like splattering paint and all this fun stuff. And it really reminds me of that. And then Chris said, "Wow, a super chat. Yay, we support you." So yeah, the thing that sucks is I missed Long Beach Comic Con. That's the worst part of the whole thing. I was really looking forward to doing a convention after TCAF, and that's
the worst part.
Well, it's not. My wife was laughing and saying that's the worst part. No, it's not the worst part. There's a lot of bad parts to it. But anyhow, like that was probably one of the harder ones. And then anyhow, welcome Chris Kawagiwa, who's tuning in. So yeah, so I'm basically off work till next week, till the end of next week. And I'm going to have another therapy session before then. And hopefully the paranoid stuff will go away at some point. It has pretty much gotten a lot better. I've had little moments of kind of recurrence of it. But it does feel like the meds they have me on are actually like kind of taking hold and doing their thing. And so, yeah. And then Frank said the worst part was I missed the art casters. I missed the art casters too. I did watch it though. Corey and Scott did a really good one with Guminelli, who's like one of Corey's older students. By saying older students, it sounds like I'm saying she's old. She's not old. She's a very young artist with a crap load of talent. And so that was pretty cool. So anyhow, what I'm going to try to do, I'm hoping this will be... Yeah, Chris said, I stopped by LBCC. It was a smaller show. than before. I don't think you missed out too much. Yeah, and the thing is, it was too late for me to get a refund on my table, so I'll definitely be doing Long Beach Comic Con next year, because that's how they're going to recoup my loss on it. Is they said I'll just have a space for next year. Let's see here. So anyhow, what I'm going to try to do during this stream is color this page. So as usual, if you're tuning in for the first time, this isn't usually, even though I do write comics that try to destigmatize the topic of mental illness, it's not usually a stream where I started off the way I did, with like 15 minutes of just updating people. But I wanted people who follow me to know where I've been, to know that I was a crazy person held in a hospital for a couple days. That felt like Girl Interrupted. and I'm back to kind of being on the path to like recovery. And to be honest, it kind of makes sense too. I had a lot of stressors. I have a lot of stressors that have been happening. I had a really close friend from college pass away. I had some family members with who are battling cancer. My wife has a really close friend who's battling stage 4 cancer. And then my friend's dad, who was like a second dad to me, was recently diagnosed with stage 4 as well. And so it's like there's just all of these people I know who are like dying and having cancer. And add that to like not sleeping, working 2 jobs, which I do all the time, and you just get a mental health cocktail of evil. But my God is strong, and my faith is strong, and my addiction to comics is strong. So we're gonna power through it. And if I have to leave a little earlier, just understand it's like the new medication kind of makes me a little sleepy at certain times. So hopefully I can power through at least getting a good chunk of this page done. And with all this talk, I can hear Frank in the background just being like, dude, get to the comics, make comics, no excuses. Well, guess what I've been doing? Amid all that, I have been making comics, no excuses. So this is the really cool page that I worked out. This took forever. But anyhow, so this took a long time. It took a long time to do, but I'm really excited about it. And what I'm going to do now is get into the coloring of these pages. Frank said, I met my first girlfriend in a mental institution. It's not for everyone, though. And then Frank was saying, yeah, the meds are really strong. And then Dee Dee said, looks amazing. Frank said, looks amazing. Philip said, I've been following your posts on Facebook and Instagram. And then Chris chimed in with forever. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So let's have some coffee. It went down the wrong pipe. Man, I'm a mess. Okay. Let's breathe some coffee and then drink some air. I think I got the two confused for a second there. All right. So before this becomes like a tragedy of comedies, let's get to coloring. And the first thing I want to color, this is a crazy page, and I think I need an early win to really feel like I've nailed this page. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to start by coloring Robert and Robert alone. And then I'm going to continue to just kind of go through and color each person one at a time, one little step at a time. Frank said, Dee Dee, you owe me a Coke. Nice. Philip said, I'm going to order your other book. I want to help support. Thank you, Philip. I will say, if you guys want to help support, buy my books. I talk really openly about mental health and mental illness in the book 2 Stories, and then I have a book that's like Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, blended in a blender with Ghost World. If you like the flavor of that, you'd like that book. It's about the kinds of things that can cause you to question even the strongest of faith. And that is Jacob's Apartment. So any support is appreciated, but I also don't really want sympathy buys. So I feel kind of bad, but yeah, hopefully I'm able to kind of return to normalcy in a bit. And it's really weird timing too. This is the thing that's strange about mental illness. It just comes out of the woodwork sometimes, just out of nowhere, you know. I mean, there were definitely factors that that made it worse, but oh my gosh, like I don't think I could have predicted. Okay, so I'm gonna make a new layer. This one's gonna be called colors. But hopefully you guys can see, like I have been working pretty hard on comics amid all this madness. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with Robert. So I'm gonna color fill this. Nice. And then Christopher said, I'm waiting for my order of 2 stories to come in at the shop. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Chris. Christopher, I should say. Christopher, do you prefer Chris or Christopher? Because like for me, you know, I always go by like Joshua just because there's another Josh Kemble. And so like I've kind of dominated the Joshua Kemble results on Google search, and then the other Josh Kemble has dominated Josh Kemble on Google search. So I feel like we've split pretty evenly there, but I don't really mind if people call me Josh. But I tend to prefer the longer Joshua, except by like close relatives and stuff. And Christopher just chimed in with preferring Christopher. That's good. I wonder if it's a similar thing. It is the month to be aware of mental health, said Frank. And then Christopher Runciman said, I have a son named Joshua. Christopher, you aren't going to do a strange reveal later on and be like, Joshua, I am your father. And I'm like, no. Okay. And then Frank said, I go by many names. Some call me Sal. Frank, you are a funny man. And not in a insulting way. Like, you are actually pretty hilarious. All right. We're going to get into coloring this stuff. We're going to get heavy into coloring these pages, and I'm going to show these flat colors who is boss. This is going to be a headache of a page, though. I'm guessing we're probably going to get a couple hours in before I might have to leave to kind of take a nap or something. But it's all dependent on the whims of the medication that I'm on, which I know is strange to talk publicly about. But again, I kind of want to practice what I preach. Like, I feel like the whole goal of 2 stories is to try to destigmatize conversations about mental health. And since that's what the art I do, I should represent that with my life as well, right? I mean, what is the purpose of doing art to destigmatize conversations about mental health and then being like, so guys, I was just gone on vacation, you know, like that wouldn't be very Also, here's another thing, and people who know me know this about me. I'm really, really shitty at lying. And so if I tried to kind of make up something about like where I was or whatever, it would just be so obvious to pretty much anyone listening that I was just making that shit up. So I might as well just be honest about it. Pardon the language, by the way, guys. Sometimes I use language. As you guys will know if you've watched this show. But yeah, I've been paying attention to a lot of people's streams, and definitely have watched some of Dee Dee's streams. Very fun. I appreciate all you guys who have been streaming. Like, understand, like, when you guys stream, it's a fun thing for me to see. It's fun for me to like kind of check out what you guys are all up to too. It's kind of, I've talked about it before, but it's like it's really fun to have a creative community. And I know some people cringe at the word community, but I think we do have like quite a little online community, and I like it. And if people don't like that word, well, too bad. It is a community. But I did appreciate you guys, and just know, like, some of you guys have been making content. You might have been part of my my recovery from my loony bin stuff. And by the way, when I'm saying loony bin and things like that, I think I'm allowed to use those terms about myself, right? I'm not at all suggesting that that's a terrible thing. I'm just kind of poking fun at myself, but I'm not, trying to kind of like insult anyone who's had to have the same kind of thing, because honestly, um, that is not a fun thing to go through. All right, so we got one Robert. Look how far we are. This is comics, you guys. You have to take pleasure in that one little dude in a sea of a million little dudes that I now have to color. I'm starting with the ones that have like preset colors that I need to kind of establish. Let's see. So this is the pant color. No. This is the shoes and the jacket. Shoes and the jacket. Is a jacket a wee wee? Why am I sounding like a weird guy who cannot speak French? My apologies to my Canadian counterparts for the bad French accent. I think a lot of Canadians know people who speak really fluent French. And my French was probably not very on point. Why did I just do the shoes? I knew this wasn't the shoes. I mean, I knew this was the shoes, and I did the pants instead. If somebody took that out of context, that would sound pretty funny. Joshua Kemble does the pants. All right. I'm going to just deselect this jacket, and then I'll take a peek at chats. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are faring better on the mental health landscape. I hope you guys are being productive and getting stuff done. And yeah, I just hope everybody's good. And I hope none of you guys ever have to go to the mental health section of a hospital for 72 hours. It's not a place I want to return ever. Yeah. Very strange place. The other thing I was noticing, and this might sound kind of political, but it's fact. This isn't a political bias kind of thing. One of the most tragic things done by our government was in the 1980s. Reagan campaigned to get rid of funding for like 3/4 of the mental health facilities in our country. And so, like, prior to Reagan, there was a massive amount of infrastructure in place for people who suffered from mental health. And even if you're a fan of Reagan, I think people who are fans of Reagan, like, look, I'm a fan of Obama, right? And I'll tell you a million things Obama did wrong, even though I feel like overall he was a good president, right? And if somebody's right leaning, they'll be like, well, he was terrible. But some of the things they might say, I would probably agree with. Like, I'm just because I like a person doesn't mean I can't kind of view things that aren't necessarily great. And this is one of Reagan's, I think, biggest failures. Other than Iran Contra and stuff like that, like the way that, and it's not just Reagan, it's just the entire government at that time kind of just botched it by closing most of the mental health facilities that existed. And it's just kind of a shame that that infrastructure is gone. And you can feel it when you're in one of those places, because looking at it, it's like, dude, they don't have enough doctors. They don't have enough staff. They're very disorganized because they don't have a very good management system. And I could tell just from being there, I was like, these guys are just like, they have no funding. They have no support. And I just think that's a shame, you know, that's just a shame. Christopher said, not all Canadians speak French. That's true. Scott hopped in, said, hey, great to see you streaming again. Thanks. Chris said, I feel like it's in step with your work in general, having open, honest talks about deep, difficult, true, and shared things. Thanks. Yeah, it's something I feel really passionate about, and I try to represent it in my work. Did you have any interesting roommates? My roommate thought he was Spider-Man. That's awesome. I didn't have anyone who thought they were Spider-Man. I want to hear about that more though, Frank. One of these days, when I'm a little more on my feet and I can handle a stream with other people on it, maybe we can talk about that if that's something you want to. I'd love to hear about your Spider-Man roommate. Like when you say stuff like that, Frank, maybe this is me, but I'm like, I want to see that as a comic. Like, I mean, what a great story, you know? And by the way, Wu-Tang did a Spider-Man call out too on 36 Chambers. I don't know why I'm mentioning that. Frank said, I'm streaming tonight. Marsh will be on. Awesome. Tell Marsh I said hi. Oh, and then Frank was saying, I'll allow it, Josh. I think that's about the Reagan thing I said. Yes, mad scientist Scott is in the house. That's right, Chris. And then Philip said most of Canada makes fun of the French anyhow. So LOL. That's true. I was just kind of joking because there's, you know, France. I don't know. Like it. Look, I think why we make fun of France is because they have rad vacation days. Like I heard about, they give like men maternity leave when there's a new kid. Like that's just part of their culture, is like they actually give men and women maternity leave to like be with their kids. They have awesome wine. They have the Louvre. I mean, of course we're going to make fun of France because we're really, I don't know. I'm just jealous. I'm sad, bitter, and jealous. In reality, I want to be like, I want to be a cartoonist in France, dude. They get paid. They make money. They get supported by the government. That's why I'm making fun of France. It's sheerly like I'm the kid in school making fun of the most handsome kid in class. Chris said, hey, mad scientist Scott in the house. Oh, we already went over that. Frank said, Scott is under $400 away from unlocking the 3D print. You guys, click that Kickstarter. If you haven't supported Scott's Young and the Dead, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's got alternate covers. It's really cool. Scott Circlin's amazing. His art's great. It's a fun story. It's all ages, so you could like totally, you know, get a copy to read your kid. Okay. Chris said, same thing happened in Canada, massive mental health system closures in Canada at the same time. Yeah, I think it was just kind of in the air at the time. Dee said, no one reintroduced the funding since Reagan. Nope. They cut the fat, what they were calling the fat. Like they just thought it was this pointless social security. And pretty much ever since then, most of those places haven't reopened. And actually, it led to a lot of vacant buildings too. But yeah, they've never recouped. They've never been able to recover the same amount of facilities since. Frank said, "Sure, Josh. I did say once I was open to having an open conversation about mental health. Cool. We'll have to try." Frank said, "I kind of did do a mini comic about it. Not sure I sent it with you, but it's about On Patrol." Oh, nice. Spider-Man guy makes an appearance. I'm going to have to relook at that. Philip said, "In Canada, we have an odd relationship with Quebec. It's funny too. Up until about a month ago, where I realized Quebecor is in Canada and it's actually Quebecor. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a moron. I've been calling it Quebecor. Quebec. I mean, that's terrible. My wife's laughing at my bad pronunciation. Only 10 hours to go on the Kickstarter. You guys got to get there. Get us there. Yep. My wife will not let me live that down now for all of my days. I'll be like, hey, we should go on vacation. And she'll be like, do you think we should go to Quebec? It's okay. I mean, I guess like if people from Quebec want revenge, they can just say I'm from California. Cali. Okay. Let's see here. I'm here all night, guys. I'm here all night. Okay. So we are still just plugging in the colors for one dude. One tiny dude. What is this tiny dude's name? His name is Robert Browning. So I think why it's important to talk about like mental health stuff like openly. I mean, obviously, you know, like if this weren't my own channel and I was like a guest on someone else's channel, then maybe it wouldn't be appropriate for me to like start rattling off about my experiences with mental health, unless maybe it was like for my comic or something. And then like I'd have to talk about it because that's what, you know, what my comics talk about. But I do think like, I don't know, I really do think people who go through things like this like need to know that they're not alone. Like that's a huge, that's at least, I mean, it sounds like that's depressing, you know, because you're like, man, if you're not alone in this, that just means something's really wrong, right? But in reality, at least for me, I've always been a person who's like taken comfort in the idea of like your suffering isn't like this individual like uh you know singular thing, like that it's something every like a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people experience. And maybe there's a lot of people out there who are on the hinge of like at some point being, you know, put in like being hospitalized, you know, for depression. It's like there's things like that that like totally normal people who seem like they're just kind of going day to day, and you think like, yeah, they're really balanced and have it all together. I think a lot of people are actually struggling with these kind of things. And so I really do think it's important to kind of talk about. And what's funny is anytime that I've done that in art or in life, just allowed myself to be vulnerable and like actually talk about these things. I've never had like that moment that I think I'm afraid of having, right? Like the reason I hesitate before saying stuff like that is like there's this fear of like judgment or shame, you know, because of it. And it's like I don't think I've ever experienced that. Maybe I will at some point, you know, but it's like it's kind of amazing how many people are there to like actually kind of back you up on it and be like, dude, that's okay. I've had my own mental health struggles, or, you know, things like that. Okay, guys, it's been a while since I've streamed, so I'm going to take a really quick break a little early. but I'm not going anywhere. So I'm just gonna play the. Oh, nice. Dee Dee said I already backed it, but I'll retweet a Scott post. That's awesome. And then Christopher said it's actually pronounced more like Quebecois. 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 Because Quebec can't make sense out of anything. That's funny. That's so funny. Okay, anyhow, let me put on the trailer for what are we gonna put on? Oh, there's and Scott, by the way, dude, freaking congrats, man, on funding so fast. I'm just really excited. I can't wait to see those alternate covers look so amazing. Young and Dead, the Young and Dead. It's just it's exciting, man. All right, so here is the trailer for Jacob's Apartment, and I'll be right back to color more comics. We have 3 Robert Brownings colored. This page is going to be a bit like you know what I missed the opportunity of doing? I should have thrown Waldo in there. I just should have. All right, here you guys go. Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can we these things we've seen and walk around breathing I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams. All right, you guys, we're getting a little further on this. Yeah, Chris was weirded out by the Quebecois or Quebecois. Anyhow, Chris was thinking it's not Cubicore, so I wasn't insane. Chris thought it was Cubicore too. Yeah, he did. He said in the chats, my. Yeah. My wife's like, no, he didn't. I'm like, hey, I've got receipts. I know he did. Anyhow, let's see here. Dude, I gotta give credit to Dee Dee too. Like Dee Dee's been so supportive of just like our whole group and community. And the fact that like, you know, she's willing to kind of like tweet out and share like Scott's thing is really cool. Yeah, youngandthedead.com. All right, so that trailer that I played was for Jacob's Apartment, which I highly recommend. I might be a little biased since it's my comic, but I'm pretty darn proud of it. I think it's a pretty good book. It's not a happy book. If you guys watched my last like stream, you know, I got into that, like how the intention of Jacob's Apartment is not to paint a pretty picture or tell like a fully told love story. There's some moments of tenderness in it, but it's a brutal book. It's a hard book. But I think it's an important book, and I think you guys should check it out. Just, if you're like on the verge of going where I went in the hospital, then maybe avoid it for a little bit. Like if you're suffering from like super severe depression and you're not the type to feel comfort in someone else talking about those experiences, then definitely watch. Beware. But other than that, I think most people will enjoy it. It's just it's not the kind of enjoyment that you're going to get from like a sitcom or something. It's more like, a really sad episode of like a really sad movie or something, like a Charlie Kaufman film. Well, let's see here. But yeah, what's weird is with my art, I do plumb the depths a little bit of stuff that, is hard to swim in. And I think art needs to do that. And for some reason, that's the art I've always been drawn to doing. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, do you find comfort in like sorrowful art? Oh, and then Chris just backed me up again, and he said, "It's true, Mai." And then Dee Dee said, "Thanks, Josh. I want you guys to succeed." Yeah, I mean, I think the great thing, I don't know, I kind of think we have a good community. There's a lot of really cool creatives in our crew. And while some of us might be, struggling with like mental health stuff, some of us, maybe just random people, definitely not me, but it's like, well, some of us have our issues or whatever. It's like, I really do feel like it's an unusually positive community. And the other thing I like about our community that I don't see in a lot of art communities online is like, we're politically diverse. We're, we're a very diverse group of people. And I think that's pretty nice. A lot of people talk about diversity and like they don't show it, and I do think we have a pretty diverse crew of people. So take that, internet. All right. This page, I'm not kidding. This page might kill me. It's like, this is an insane page. Do you guys ever have moments like that when you're working on art where you get to like the halfway point on a really complicated piece and you're just like, why did I do this to myself? Like, why did I have to do the Frank King thing? Why couldn't I have done like closer up panels? There's less colors to lay down, Oh, my wife is trying to get me to sing a song because she said, "Are you saying you're halfway there?" Because she wanted to hear, "Whoa, I'm halfway there. Wow, living on a prayer." That's right. That's right. And now she is singing the song as well. The song that shall not be named because I don't want to get demonetized. All right. We've got most of this. There's one little snippet I missed. Little snippet here. Little snippet. Whatever that means. And now I need to grab the coat. So what projects is everybody working on? You guys got to let me know. I know what Scott's working on. He's got 10 hours left on his Kickstarter. He's doing that final push. That's what I'm guessing, Scott. You'll have to let me know. For youngandthedead.com. Keep in mind, these alternate variant covers may not be around for that long. I did a variant cover for it, and I'm really quite happy with it. And you got Corey Kerr did a variant, Gary Hodges. Some very talented people doing variant covers. Chris said, I reread Jacob's Apartment. Quite good. It's a tragic relationship book, so you have to be in the right headspace to appreciate it. Thank you, Chris. Dee Dee said, I have been doing a bit of planning on Ink Toner, doing a poster called Ink Sea Tober. All undersea stuff. Nice. One of the funnest jobs I had, because you guys probably are familiar, but before I was an art director, I was just freelance. Like I existed as a freelance illustrator and cartoonist for about 15 years prior to getting the gig as an art director. And one of the funnest jobs I got was this company called Fade and Rot, which is a German clothing company that I think is by Heidensee or something. I think that's the. Anyhow, it's by like a port. It's like a shop that's set up at a port side in Germany. And she has been such a good client to us. She's hired my wife and I almost every season to do graphic designs. This was the first year where I had to actually turn it down because with this book, I don't have time for anything other than my day job and this book. But anyhow, one of the funnest jobs I had was she wanted me to draw a ton of sea stuff for a pattern, just a bunch of sea related sketches. And she wanted them in my the style of a t-shirt I did for Threadless a long time ago, which was just a bunch of life drawings. If you guys have ever seen my sketchbooks, hold on a second. Let me see if I have my sketchbook here. You know what? Unfortunately, I think my sketchbook's still packed away somewhere. Otherwise, I'd show you guys. I do these overlapping life drawings where I just let them kind of create this web of life drawings. And I had to do nautical patterns and stuff like that. And to do it, I just basically drove around Long Beach, the seaside, and just did a crap load of sketches from life and then just overlapped them all and made them all final patterns and stuff. And it was so fun. It was like for a minute there, whenever I got those life drawing design things, you guys can see them on my website, but they're usually overlapping life drawings. Whenever I'd get assigned that, like from a client, those were always the funnest because it's pretty much saying like, hey, we're going to pay you to go to cafes and travel around town and just draw stuff from life. It was so fun. But anyhow, I think the C part kind of reminded me of that. Scott said, I'll be doing a live Kickstarter rap party on my channel. A rap party? Who's rapping? Are you going to freestyle rap on that party? Scott, I know you've got the hip hop roots, man. Chris K said, those cool nautical designs, those were fun. Yeah. And then Frank said, oh man, I'm trying to get back to the variant covers. Since I already pledged the standard covers, Kickstarter won't let me add it without changing my original package. Scott, help Frank out here. How can Frank make that happen? Help him out. Let him add on stuff. I don't know what Scott is saying here. I'm just going to pretend that he was going to have an actual rap party. I don't know why he's saying rap with a W. I've never heard of such a word. So if you guys want to catch some freestyle rap, you should check out. You know what's funny about rap? So my son has this this comic that's like the Super Mario Brothers. Was there like a title to that other than just Super Mario Brothers Adventures or something, Mai? The Super Mario book that Ben has, the comics.
Yeah.
I think that they're from like Nintendo Power, but do you remember what they were called? Like what the title of that was?
What are you talking about?
The Super Mario comic that Benji has.
What about it?
What's it called? Is it just Super Mario Brothers?
What do you mean? I don't know.
Oh, so my wife doesn't know. But anyhow, there's this Super Mario Brothers comic that collects comics, I think, that were in Nintendo Power. And my son was like obsessed with it. We originally checked it out from the library that my sister works at. She actually just brought it for us, like, because she'll do that sometimes with Ben. Like, she'll pick up a book that like he'd be into and kind of loan it to us, and then we'll return it to the library after the fact. But he was so in love with it that we hunted it down and then ordered like the graphic novel collection of it because he just absolutely loves Mario Brothers. Anyhow, point being, there is a King Koopa rap. Speaking of rap parties, that's how long it took me to just tell you guys that in the Super Mario Brothers comic, King Koopa raps. Chris was saying you feel like an artist with a capital A when you get paid to do life drawings. Yeah, for sure. And then Chris was saying, you heard it, you guys. MC Cirqueworks is gonna do a rap battle tonight live. That's right. And then here's Scott giving Frank advice. He said you should be able to add the variant covers. At least I hope so. Always change your pledge, Frank. So I guess what you do is like maybe cancel your current pledge and then do the new one with the add-ons that you want. That might be your best bet. Because I did some add-ons. I think I added on. I ordered the variant covers, but I wanted the original cover too. For the newest issue, because I'm a completist, and it's nice to have like the whole thing. Like I want the variant covers, but I also want the cover by Scott. That like. So we're doing some sky right now. I think I'll just occasionally do something like that to sort of brighten up through the atmosphere. And I just had "Let's Go Fly a Kite" from Mary Poppins pop into my head. Up where the air is clear. All that talk of look at that. Would you look at that? Okay, let's do Elizabeth now. Elizabeth's hair. Whoa, look at that craziness. That almost looks like a funny meme. That's what happens when you accidentally do your lines on your color layer. That's awfully creepy looking. All right, we're going to do Elizabeth now. Elizabeth, it's time to color you. So you guys don't miss. Yep. Here we go. Cirqueworks Hip Hop Mastery based on his books. Themed rap Scott. What do you say? I agree. He is the hip hop eponymous. His lyrics are bottomless. His rhymes are bottomless. All right, you guys. So now we're going to get in the colors for Elizabeth. And only Elizabeth. Yeah, Chris was saying that face looks like the "Hello Clarice Dwight Schrute" meme for sure. Without the colors, yeah, it definitely has like a either that or like one of those meme the racist frog memes. Yeah, by the way, does anybody remember the name of the documentary that gets into the frog and like how that got? I mean, I'm trying to remember what it was called, but it's basically explaining the meme of the frog and how it started with an indie cartoonist who had this character, and then it got like co-opted by like a bunch of racists, and it's a really like just very kind of sad. I think it's called "It Feels Better Man" or oh my gosh, I can't remember what it was called. But anyhow, it's like a really poignant documentary. I was really surprised by it because it basically gets into all sorts of issues, like how do you control like what your art is being used for online, and like just the thought of that, like what would you do as an artist if like can you guys imagine like if you were doing art and then suddenly it just got hijacked by like a bunch of racists and became like their icon? Pepe the Frog. That's it. The Pepe thing. Like he basically I think it's called Feels Better Man or something, but it's like he created Pepe the Frog and then like a bunch of people on 4chan and 8chan like pretty much just took it and made it into this like racist meme. And I was just thinking like how do you deal with that as a creator? Um that would be really tough, to deal with like somebody just taking one of your cartoons and just sort of adding a weird political stint to it that you don't agree with. Christopher said, "I thought the colored face without the line kind of looked like Helena Bonham Carter." That's true too. Helena Bonham Carter definitely has those, especially like Fight Club era. She definitely had that under eye mascara. So here we're just coloring what we can. I don't like that red for the mouth, so I'm going to tone it back a lot. First, I have to get in there with a little bit of color here. So how is everybody? Corey Kerr is on the stream. How's it going, Corey? I watched Artcasters yesterday. You guys rocked it. Guminelli's a really cool guest too. We'll have to definitely have her on again. It was sort of interesting to hear like her growth as an artist and what kind of unlocked it for her to kind of get better. I just think it was a really good show. You guys did a good job. So, I mean, I got into it a little bit at the top of this, but just so that you guys are aware, I talked about this at the top of the stream. I'm on some medication right now for depression, for like major depression. That's, I guess, I was joking with a friend that it's like a major depression, and I guess if it gets worse, it becomes captain or general depression. But I guess my depression's rank is just major. I wonder if I read Frank's comics and I'm depressed, does that make me Captain Goggles depression, or just I stay as a major? Anyhow, so because of that, I'm gonna be potentially having to take a few more breaks than usual, just because like I'm kind of getting back in the swing of kind of making these live streams and pages and stuff like that. So because it's been a while, I might need to kind of bow out every once in a while, which hopefully will be good for you guys. Okay. But I do want you guys to know, like, I try not to take too many breaks when I'm streaming, because I know that can be pretty boring for you guys. Okay, so if I'm gonna break real quick though, I'm gonna need to put this as magenta. We'll keep it there. So we've gotten a little further. We didn't get totally finished with this, so I'm gonna finish getting her skin tone. Whoa. Wait, we did finish with her skin tone. Okay, cool. I'm gonna save, and then we'll get back to coloring the rest of Elizabeth in a second. Jim said, "Love you, Josh." Thanks. I love you too, buddy. Yeah, and then Corey said we were her catalyst. Yeah, it's kind of funny that the 48-hour art check kind of gave her a little spark of inspiration, which I know Corey and I are agreed on that. That's one of the few things. One of the big things I think Corey likes about teaching and I like about art directing is when you have that moment where you're able to like stoke the flames of like inspiration for somebody and you see them like make this giant leap forward. It's one of the things that keeps me interested in making comics and stuff. And then Jim said, please set yourself some limits, self-care care. Yeah, 100% will. And then Corey said, who doesn't get excited at the prospect of designing a really nicely functioning spreadsheet? All right. I'm going to do view extras. Okay. I'm going to save where I'm at, and then I'm going to take another quick break, and I will be right back. Oh my goodness, that wasn't the right thing. That was a countdown. Here we go. All right, we're back at it. And I'm thinking from how I'm feeling, it might be another hour before I just call it for a little bit because I might need a nap. Because I'm in kind of somewhat mental health recovery mode. The medication they have me on, I know this it's so sad. I feel like have you guys, is it Animal House where Jim Belushi, like there's like this guy they're having like a frat party or something, and this guy like picks up a guitar and sings like "Hello Darkness, My Old Friend" or something like that on his acoustic, and then he just grabs the acoustic guitar and just smashes it over the guy's head. I feel like that guy with the acoustic guitar talking about this stuff. So if me talking openly about this kind of thing is like um, a turnoff for you guys, just imagine that you are Jim Belushi, able to grab my acoustic guitar and just go crash, break it over my head. But I'm trying to be transparent about it. So with the new medicine they have me on, I that is one of the reasons I'm not really going back in-house to work, is that like I can get like a little bit of work done here and there, but like I've been sleeping a lot lately because of I think part of it was just because like, I wasn't sleeping enough in general, but a big part of it's also like just the side effects of the medicine. Um so I'm probably gonna maybe have another hour in, and then probably we'll call it. Although I'll probably be streaming on and off for like the next week, like during, daytime hours and stuff like that. So hopefully, I do love the live streams because they actually force me to kind of do a little bit longer of sessions than I otherwise might. Um, and I mean, that's one of the reasons I initially loved doing art casters too, was like you get a lot done when you're doing streams. Because it's like you have that extra impetus to perform and do really awesome, and get hopefully a lot of headway on your pages done because you have people watching you, which is actually kind of a good thing. But anyhow, in this case, I probably have about another hour to go. Um, yeah, Philip was saying naps are awesome. I have them daily. Yeah. And then yeah, Frank was saying, yeah, that's Animal House. And he said, it's your channel and I've been in your position, so share away. Yeah. Cool. And I think that's the thing that, you know, why I always wanted to talk about this kind of stuff. Like in two stories, I really tried to be very vulnerable and honest, because when you're going through stuff like this wackiness, you can kind of feel like you're completely alone. Like there's no one else out there who has any idea what you're experiencing. And I tend to think that's where mental illness wants you. That's where depression or anxiety wants you, is like isolated, thinking it's just your own thing that no one understands. Kind of forces you to become like a junior high kid who's just like, no one cares, like it's it's a weird thing to kind of explain, but um she has this blouse. So now we're gonna do her blouse. But I think like part of the reason I like to talk about that stuff is that like that you're not alone. Like, life is hard, and we all kind of are struggling with our own little burdens and stuff. And some of us more publicly than others, but it's like it's just super important, I think, for people to realize that. But like, especially if you're creative, right? Even like the a couple of the people I talked to, like my therapist, like was, which is kind of fun to say because I never thought before I'd be able to afford therapy, but now I have found out since that I can. And he was talking about how like creatives are like extra sensitive to other people. Like we're always kind of mining data from people around us, for stories or books. And so I think part of that is like being extra attuned to like to people and like extra affected by things. I think that's part of what makes us decent artists. I don't want this to be green. I want this to be like a blue. There we go. Tone it back a little bit. Okay. She's wearing this kind of black jacket. Need to brighten it a little bit. And a little more saturation. There we go. But anyhow, like because we're creatives, like and most of us are like storytellers, it's like I think we are a little more emotional than most people. And I don't think that's bad. I mean, I don't think we should be like depressed emo kids all the time. But I think it's good to be aware of that, like about creatives. Like if you are a creative, be aware like your mental health is going to be an issue you have to kind of take care of and not let slide by the wayside in our like quest to create stuff. I think there's some interesting stuff happening in chats too, so once I'm done with this jacket I'll get back to reading some of the chats. Yeah, Corey said being an empath is tiring. Yeah, and I think that's the thing. We are, as like woo woo as it can sound, it's like to be a storyteller, you kind of have to be able to empathize with people. And empathizing with people can really hurt, sometimes. Have you ever watched Cinema Therapy? Pretty fun dissections of movies and mental health with a therapist and a director who are friends. That's cool. I'd like to actually check that out. I'll write that down. Frank said Elizabeth Barrett Browning died 10 days after my birthday. Different years, though. Yeah, her biography is insanely interesting. And like I said, this book is going to get into some of that later on. Okay. I just turned the guide view off. I think my wife just dropped something in the kitchen. So I heard this little
I put the eggs on the counter and it literally like tipped over and all the eggs just rolled out.
Oh my goodness. My wife tipped all the eggs. My wife. My wife. That is kind of an addictive thing to do. Cinema Therapy. Frank just linked to it. I think I just think that life can be kind of hard sometimes. And if you guys out there are ever struggling, don't deny yourself the ability to kind of reach out, get therapy, get help, because like you don't want to end up in that part of the hospital. You don't, like, believe me, you don't. Like I would say that must have been one of the most horrifying experiences of my life.
That was not fun.
Being in like a place where you're involuntarily held there, you're like, because of the lack of funding, they don't really tell you what's going on. You're exhausted because you're on like weird medication. All the food tastes weird because I think they sneak medication into the food. So you're just basically like in this hospital room.
Away from your little chihuahua.
Yeah, kept away from your dogs and your kid and like whatever else you have. It was not a fun experience. Oh, there's a little chihuahua
Sorry
here.
to interrupt, actually. Lunch is almost ready.
Oh, cool. I will go for lunch. That's a good call. But anyhow, so that was did you guys see the cute chihuahua? Kind of adorable chihuahua. We're getting close, guys. I'm going to try to finish at least this, and then I might have to disappear to eat lunch. But I do plan on doing these streams throughout the day because one added byproduct that's kind of nice about this, being on leave from work, is like that I will have the time and ability to kind of catch up a little bit on the comics. And that's good too, because it's going to help me make up for the days that I miss, working on this thing. But this page, this one probably took about, need to add that back. I accidentally deselected it. This page has taken me about 2 to 3 days so far, just on this one page. Partially because it's just so many people had to be drawn into the scene. Makes me really look at like the guys who were doing this kind of stuff for Marvel, just crazy crowd scenes and like complicated pages. You gotta like really tip your hat to the guys that were doing this stuff monthly. Like, how in the hell, could somebody get like a bunch of pages like this done so quickly? Look at like somebody like a Neil Adams who could do, these immensely detailed like crowd scenes and like pull it off like it, on a monthly schedule. It's just kind of like amazing. The history of comics is amazing. All right, so I think it's lunchtime, so I might have to disappear for a little bit. So we're gonna call it for now. That's what we have done so far. Feel pretty good about it. We're making some progress. It's going to take a while to get this whole page and each individual person colored. But I think that's going to do it for this live stream. So I will be live streaming again, probably later through the day. If you want to know when I'm about to go live, just there's down at the bottom over there. There should be like a little bell icon. Make sure you've clicked that so you get notifications when I'm about to go live. And I really appreciate you guys. Like, I'm really excited to have so many of you here, and I'm hoping to kind of do a little bit further stuff. Dee Dee said, have a good afternoon and evening, guys. Good to have you back. And then Chris said, cool looking layout on this one. Thank you, Chris. And we're going to basically make this work. So I'll be back on a little bit later, and I'll see you guys then. And hopefully, again, you guys have hit the bell, hit subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And thanks for listening to me and following my work. It's really exciting, and you guys keep me going. So I really appreciate it. All right. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys on the next one later. Bye.